So here we may have the options where two or more answers may go correct. So the question is, a particle moves with constant speed v along a regular hexagon ABCDEF in the same order. Then the magnitude of the average velocity for its motion from A to. So we have to find the best answers among these four choice. So first of all, I should have one hexagon, the structure hexagon. So for that, I am making the construction. Say here is our hexagon. Mm. Let me change the color for a best appearance. So what I do, so I'll choose a different color. So I'm now drawing a hexagon like this, you know. So here is our hexagon. This is our hexagon. So we're having the hexagon which is said in the question. So let me write the vertices A, yeah, is B, C, D, E, and finally F. So a particle should move from A, so it will make one complete cycle starting from A to A once again. In this journey, it is moving with a constant speed v. It is said in the question itself. So the speed is remaining constant for the journey of the particle. So let me take first say A to B. So A to B. So A to, you know. So he is saying A to. So B means here. So in option D. So let me check first option D whether it is correct or wrong. So A to B. So I say the length of the sides of this hexagon is A. So every side is A. So all sides of the length A. Let me assume the time taken to move from A to B is t. So from A to B it is t. So this motion is with a velocity v because the speed is constant. I should not say the velocity now. So I should say the speed is constant. So I'm checking the correctness of this option D first. So A to B, the vertex A is here, B is here, from A to B. So in this case, the magnitude of, see what I have to check is magnitude of average velocity. So magnitude of average velocity should be what? To do that, so I should know the term velocity, that means the average velocity is distance divided by net displacement divided by time. Displacement, should know, displacement divided by time. So net displacement divided by time. So in the interval A to B, so the time taken is t, and it made a displacement A. So for that reason I may say, so V is equals A divided by t. This is how I can write. But this itself is average velocity. So this velocity is nothing but V, because the displacement is happened from here to here with the velocity v. So this one, average velocity v. So it is governed by this relation. where a by t stands for v, because the speed of the particle from a to b is v. So that means option D is correct. So now let me check the other options. So next I choose A and C. So what could be the magnitude of average velocity from A to C, the motion from A to C? So in this situation, the displacement should be this one, you know, should be careful. So this should be the displacement. So in this circumstance, the displacement is nothing but this one. So this is, what I may say. So always in any hexagon, this one, what I call uh, this length, I may say height or something, whatever it is. This is always root 3 times. You should remember this, root 3 times the side length. This is A. So this AC is root 3 into A. So now the displacement is nothing but root 3 into A, and average velocity now it is, this is also one of the symbol we may use instead of writing this. So average velocity from A to C. So, okay, so this is from A to C, and obviously this is from A to B, A to B, and now I am working about A to C. So average velocity from A to C is nothing but the ratio of root 3 into A divided by the total time taken is C. So the time taken from here to here is T, and one more T I should write here. So total time taken is 2T. From here to here it is T, and here to here it is T in actual motion. So that is 2T. 2T. So that means what I got, root 3 into A divided by T. This is nothing but root 3 divided by 2, and A by T stands for V from here. A by T is V. So the average velocity for the displacement from A to C is root 3 by 2 into V. This is correctly said in option C. I hope so, right? So V multiplied by root 3 divided by 2 is nothing but this answer. So option C is also correct. So I have to check for the displacement of the particle now from A to D. This is said in option B. Let me check whether it is correct or not. For that I jump to the discussion like this, So now I have to bother about the displacement from here to here, from here to here. So here from this point to this point, right? From this point to this point. Now I have to work out what should be this length. This length. Now in any hexagon, if I divide like this, so let me divide this one in this manner, say like this, right, like this. So this will be 60 degree, and here will be 60 degree. Okay, so how it should be like this, here it is 60 degree, and here also it is 60 degree, because the interior angle in any hexagon is 120 degree. So for this reason I may say this length, this length is A, and this length is also A. This length is A, and this length is A. So that means the total length A to D is 2A. So A to D is 2A. So A to D is 2A. A to D is 2A. Now let me calculate the average velocity from A to D. So this is equals, the displacement is AD, so this is nothing but 2A. So the displacement is 2A. And what should be the time taken? See, it is 3 times t. So here to here it is time t, one more t, and here, so again t. So the total time is 3t. So this is nothing but 2 divided by 3. And this a divided by t, the ratio a divided by t is again v, is again v. So this is v. So 2 by 3 v. So that means the average velocity between the points A and D for the particle is 2 by 3v, not v by 3 alone. So that means this option is wrong. So now the only one option that is left, which is option A. So for this we should think about 2 points. One is A, another one is F. So in our picture A is here and F is here. So this can be evaluated uh, in this manner. See, so the displacement is from A to F. So the displacement is this length. The magnitude of the displacement is this length. So for that, I say one more time, the displacement is again A. That itself is the displacement from A to F, that A. So now the average velocity for the gap from A and F is equal to the displacement is A and divided by time taken. See, what we have to do is, here to here is a t, here to here is t, here to here is t, and here to here is one more t, and from E to F it is t. So don't go for this one because the particle may stop here. So when we have to think about the point A to F displacement, so the motion from F to A should be neglected. So 5 times t should be taken as the total time interval for this calculation. This is 5t. So this is equals, so 1 divided by 5 multiplied by, so A divided by t is one more time, this is V, this is V. So this is V, otherwise I may say it is V divided by 5. So the average velocity between A and F, the displacement of the particle from A to F, is V divided by 5. This is correctly said in this option. So from this analysis, we may get except option B, all other options A, C, and D are correct. So answers, so A, C, and D. So all these three options are correct. In this question, a particle moves along a straight line and its velocity depends on time t as v is equals 4t minus t square. Here v is in meter per second and t is in second. Then for first 5 seconds, and we are having 4 different options. So let me show you the correct answers one by one. Let me check whether this option A is correct or not. Here, the point to be noted is average velocity. So you should know the meaning of the average of any function. So average of any function, average of any function can be found. So using the notation, say this is the average of the function. so which depends on x. So that is equals. So it is nothing but the value of the total value of this function if it is in the differential form. So I should integrate it. So which is f of x into dx in the interval. So in the interval of some value, so which is given. So this is how I have to evaluate. So this denominator is called the period. So over which we are finding the average. So now what I do is, so I am now finding the average velocity of the given particle which is moving along a straight line and whose expression is v is equals to 4t minus t square for velocity. So now what I have to do is, first I make the average velocity in 5 seconds, in first 5 seconds. This should be found. So now I am checking whether this option A is correct or not. So average velocity, so by definition you can write, so this is equals, so it is nothing but the integral, so now v into dt, so divide by the integral dt. The period is well known, so it is 0 to 5, which is said in the question itself. So I am taking the interval from 0 to 5. So the average velocity over this period is equals. So what actually the term v is? V is 4t minus t square. So let me put that notation. So which is 4t minus t square. This is the given function of v, which is then multiplied by dt in the interval 0 and 5. So in the denominator, so obviously the integral dt is t, and since the limit is from 0 to 5, so it is simply t. So this is from 0 to 5. No doubt this can be replaced just by 5. So that I am going to put later. So v is equals. So what we get here is on making the proper integration, it is 4t square divided by 2 here. So that means 2t square minus, it is t cube divided by 3. So in the interval it is 0 to 5. In the denominator I simply write 5. So next what I have to write is this average velocity is equals, when I put the value, the upper limit here, so this is 2 into 25, so which is 50 minus, so t cube is 125 divided by 3 and whole divided by 5. So finally what I may get, this average velocity v is equals, so it is 125. So 125 and here is 3. So this becomes 150 minus 125. So divide by 3 into 5. Let it be 3 into 5. So this average of velocity is equals. So in the numerator it is just 25 and in the denominator it is 3 into 5, and obviously on making proper division this is 5. So average velocity, so now becomes 5 divided by 3, so many meter per second. So this is the answer. I get the answer for average velocity what I needed. So that means the magnitude of average velocity, since I got no doubt it is plus, so the answer is exactly correct. It is 5 by 3 meter per second. This is the thing what I got here. So I say option A is correct. So next let me move to option B. Since it is a question of two or more correct type, so we have to check for more options whether they are correct or not. So let me take you to the next option, which is B. So average speed is 13 divided by 5 meter per second. So now it is not average velocity, it is average speed. You should be careful about this particular word, it is average speed. So first I check, see this one, v is equals 4t minus t square. There are many types of motion where the velocity changes periodically. So in my experience, I am having little doubt over this particular velocity. So I have to check. Say, so if something you throw up and if it comes down, so the vertical velocity here it is zero. Vertical velocity is zero at this point. So when it goes up and comes down, the vertical velocity is zero. But horizontal velocity is not zero. Otherwise, I may say you a reversible motion. Say one kind of motion, the body moves right fast and stops, then comes back again. So in such kind of motion, there is a probability of acquiring zero velocity somewhere during the motion. So I have to check whether it is possible or not. So now what I do is, you know, the given thing is, average speed, and I have this equation. So if in my doubt, if v is equal 0 somewhere in the motion, then what happens? It is 0 is equals 4t minus t square. 4t minus t square. Otherwise, we may say it is t square is equals 4t, or t is equals 4 seconds. T is equals 4 seconds. So what happens at t is equals 4 seconds? So at t is equals 4 second, the body stops and reverse. Okay, so and reverse in motion. So it moves forward for 4 seconds and then it reverse. So the reverse happens for 1 second. So reverse motion is for 1 second. So this is how I made the calculation, and I call at 4 second there is a break. So break time is 4 second. So the motion breaks and return. Next what happens? So that I have to do here. So I'm now finding average speed. So what I do is, in finding the average speed, I will make a split in my calculation. I will do nothing in the denominator, so denominator still remains same as it is, but in the numerator, so I should be very careful. So that means here I have to take the two interval. So one is the integration of v dt from 0 to 4 for forward motion. This should be under modulus, plus one more. So one more integral. So this is from 4 to 5 seconds, the reversed motion. There also I have to integrate the function v dt. So there it's modulus. So already I know the integration of v into dt in my previous calculation. So integration of v dt is nothing but 2t minus t cube divided by 3. T cube divided by 3. So that you will get in my past calculation in the same question. So that means if I use this particular notation here as well as here, so what I can do further is average speed is equals on putting the limits for these these things. So I can put so the final answer will be somewhere like something like this, 32 divide by 3 plus 7 divided by 3 whole divided by 5. So finally, so you will get 13 divided by 5 meter per second. So this will be the average speed, and for this you have to do the substitution work for these functions of integration. So the solution is here 2t minus t cube divided by 3, and then put the limit values. So finally we'll get this answer 13 divided by 5. So that means average speed in the duration for first 5 seconds. The answer what he has given in option B 13 divided by 5 is correct. So in my previous calculation I found option A correct, and now I found option B is also correct. So let me check option C whether it is correct or not in this part. So I am checking this one. We already came to know A and B are correct. So now I am checking this one. So average speed is this, but it is meaningless because see average speed is already found 13 divided by 5, which is correct. That means this option, this answer 11 divided by 5 is wrong. So option C is wrong. No need of calculation. That means we can directly jump into the calculation necessary for this option D. Average acceleration is this one. So I have to check whether this answer is correct or not. So one more time I am using the same notation, but you must be careful. The acceleration is nothing but dv by dt. Acceleration is dv by dt. So this is equals the differentiation of the function of 4t minus t square. So this is equal to 4 minus 2t. So this is the expression for the acceleration. Now I have to make the calculation for average acceleration in the period of first 5 seconds. So in first 5 seconds I have to do the calculation for average acceleration. So that is equals, so integration of the function a into dt from 0 to 5, and the denominator, the period is once again it is this thing. So that is equal to, so it is nothing but integration of 4 minus 2t into dt from 0 to 5. In the denominator it is 5. So now the average acceleration is equal to the integration of 4t. 4 becomes 4t minus it is t square, and obviously we know the limit is 0 to 5, and in the denominator it is one more time it is 5 as it is. So further it is, so there is no need of bothering about the lower limit. So there is only the upper limit that should be taken into consideration. When I put 5 for t, so this will be 20 minus, this is 25 divided by 5. So this is equals minus 5 divided by 5. This is minus 1. This is minus 1. So that means average acceleration in the duration 5 second, the first 5 second will be minus 1 meter per square second. So this should be the answer. So here in the option D, the answer what he has given in the question is also the same thing, minus 1 meter per square second. So this option is also correct. So finally the conclusion is the correct answers are A, B and D. So these are the correct answers in this question. In this question, A ball is projected horizontally from top of a 80-meter deep well with velocity 10 meter per second. Then particle will fall on the bottom at a distance of. All the collisions with the wall are elastic, and you are seeing 4 different options. See, if you want to measure the time to fall down, if you think blind, the ball, what he is saying, may go like this, may go like this, and it may fall somewhere here. So this is a situation which looks odd. So this is not possible because in this situation, if you do certain calculation, you know, so time required to fall, time required to fall, time required to fall can be calculated for the vertical displacement, that is 80 meter. That means I use the equation x is equals to VO into T plus half AT square. The displacement is minus 80 vertically downwards. Initial vertical velocity is 0, and this will be minus half into 10 if I take g as 10 into t square. So this will be 16, which is equals t square. Otherwise t is equals 4 seconds. During this interval, the ball will make some horizontal displacement, this much. Okay, so this much. So this horizontal displacement will be something, no? So that can be calculated with the given horizontal velocity, which is 10. That means since horizontal velocity is a constant for the given condition, I use, it is distance divided by time formula. So distance is equal to the velocity, which is Vx, the horizontal velocity is 10 into time is 4, so which will be 40 meter. So this is 40 meter. So that means if this d is 40 meter, obviously the situation looks odd. So this will be beyond the entire boundary of the well. So the well is just a 7 meter width. So our answer came 40 meter. It is totally a nonsense. So that means the situation how we are analyzing here now is totally wrong. This is not the actual way how you have to calculate. So for that reason, I am doing a different kind of work for you. That means if you look into the circumstance, what actually may happen, the ball may come and it may hit somewhere here, and then it makes an elastic collision. It may go back and it will hit somewhere here, and one more time it may hit here. So this happens many times. See, the first collision that happens here and the second collision that happens here, third collision here, fourth collision here. That means you have to observe a main thing. All odd number of collision that appears on this side B, and even number of collisions that appear on this side A. So we already found time needed to fall is t is equals 4 seconds. So this is calculated by vertical displacement only. So that we already did. But the ball should not go out of the boundary of this well. So it should lie within the boundary somewhere here and making multiple collisions on walls, side walls. So now what happens? You know, the ball is not only moving forward, it is falling down also. On making repeated collisions, the ball is coming down. So what I have to do is to make this much horizontal displacement. That means a 7-meter horizontal displacement. What time it takes? So time taken for a horizontal displacement of 7 meters is t is equals, it is 7 meter divided by the speed. So this will be 0.7 second. So 0.7 second. So for each collision, from this height, this horizontal height to here, to make this collision, it will take 0.7 second. And again from this collision to this collision, so for this horizontal mean vertical displacement, again it will take 0.7 seconds. So thinking so, for each collision it will take 0.7 seconds. So although it will take a total 4 seconds to come down. So that means if there are some n collisions, then what I can do is, the maximum time is 4 seconds. That is equals n number of collisions into 0.7. Otherwise I may say it is n equals 4 divided by 0.7. Otherwise I may write it 40 divided by 7. So this is just more than 5. Just more than 5. That means there will be 5 collisions before fall. There will be maximum 5 collisions before fall. So fifth collision that happens on this side. This is how the fifth collision that happens here. Fifth collision is the last observed collision. So finally what happens? The ball will go and fall somewhere here. So in this situation, I have to evaluate how much time that passed from here to here. So this is nothing but 5 into 0.7, because each collision will take 0.7 seconds, and this will be 3.5 seconds. 3.5 seconds from this height to this height. There will be a time 3.5 seconds. So that means the remaining time to fall will be, So time to fall now, time uh, to fall after fifth collision. After fifth collision. So that is equals 4 minus 3.5. So that is 0.5 second. So in last 0.5 seconds, the ball will come down totally and it will reach the bottom of the well. So now I have to do a calculation for this. So that is how much horizontal displacement it will make in this 0.5 seconds. So for that I do the calculation like this. So since the horizontal velocity, that is Vx, equals 10 meter per second is constant, because the ball is making elastic collision with the wall. So in elastic collisions, velocity after collision should remain same as before. So that means what I have to do is, so the displacement, if I say this is a d, so that d will be is equals, what I can do, so that is a Vx into t. So this is 10 into 0.5. That means d is equals 5 meters. The conclusion is what the conclusion is uh, the ball will hit this point in the picture at a distance of 5 meter from B, and from A you can say in total this is 7 meter. If this part from here to here, if it is 5 meter, this should be 2 meter. So the conclusion is from point B it will be 5 meter, and from A it will be 2 meter. It will be 2 meter. So that means our answer should be so from B it is 5 meter from B, right? And from A it is 2 meter. So the correct options are B and C. So correct options are B and C. So these are the answers what you must get. Here two particles are projected under gravity with the speed 4 meter per second and 3 meter per second simultaneously from same point and at angles 53° and 37° with the horizontal surface respectively as shown in the figure. So among these four choices we have to select two or more options which are good for the situation. So such kind of questions, see, we are having two or more correct type. So let us check. So which are the options they perfectly hold for the situation right now. So now they are asking their relative velocity is along vertical direction. So let me check this option first. For this circumstance, I do one thing. I simply split the two velocities of the particles. Here they are given 4 and 3. So now I split them in the horizontal direction. One is now 3 cos 37. One is 3 cos 37, and another one is here, that is for this one. This is 4 cos 53, cos 53. Uh, this is a these two are the horizontal components of the velocity 3 meter per second and 4 meter per second. So now the relative velocity between the two now can be calculated like this, relative velocity along the horizontal is equals, say any one, for example, 4 cos 53, 4 cos 53 minus 3 cos 37, 3 cos 37, which is equals, 4 cos 53. So what we have to write for cos 53? It is 3 by 5. So cos 53 is, this one is 3 divided by 5. And cos 37 is, no, this is 4 divided by 5. 4 divided by 5. Now I write 4 into, it is 3 divided by 5 minus 3 into 4 divided by 5. So 4 into 3, 12 divided by 5, 12 divided by 5 minus 4 into 3 is again 12 divided by 5. So the final answer will be 0. So that means there will be no horizontal relative velocity, no horizontal, relative velocity, relative velocity, relative velocity. So one side is over. That means along horizontal we found no relative velocity. Let us do for the vertical components. For that, I am now splitting these two velocities in a vertical direction. So one is here. This is a 3 sine 37. Okay, if it is not visible, so let me rewrite it. It is a 3 sine 37, and one more is for 4 meter per second, it will be 4 sine 53. So now for a vertical motion, the relative velocity can be found like this, 4 sine 53 minus 3 uh, cos, sorry, sine, sine, I should write sine here, 3 sine 37. So you must know sine 53, sine 53 is 4 by 5, and sine 37 is 3 by 5. That's 3 by 5. This is nothing but 4 into 4 divided by 5 minus, it is 3 into 3 divided by 5. So this is equals to 16 divided by 5 minus 9 divided by 5. So this is equal to, it is a 7 divided by 25. 7 divided by 25, no, sorry, 5. So I should not multiply the denominator, something happened. So it's not the product, actually it's common in the denominator, so I should write it. So 5. So that means 7 divided by 5 is 1.4 meter per second. So this will be the relative velocity along the vertical direction. So this will come into play. So means there will be relative velocity in vertical direction. So the conclusion is is the relative velocity, the relative velocity will be only in vertical direction, only in a vertical direction that I can write, only in a vertical direction. That means he is saying here, the relative velocity is along vertical direction. So that means option A is correct. So, but what is the thing is, so here the options, one or more options can go right. So that means we have to analyze the question for option B and C and D also. So for that reason, so we have to think further. So let me take you to this came right, option A came right. Now he is saying their relative acceleration is a non-zero and it is along vertical direction. See, there will be no horizontal acceleration for the motion, no. And for both the particles, say this is particle 1 and particle 2, both will feel the same acceleration, that is acceleration due to gravity acting downward. Since the two particles are feeling same acceleration due to gravity, there will be no relative acceleration. So that means this option is wrong. So further, we have to think about option C. They will hit the surface simultaneously. For that, I do one thing. Let me say this is a particle A and this is for particle B. So time of flight we write like this, 2 VO sine theta divided by g. This is how we write time of flight for any projectile motion. So now I do the calculation for A. This is 2 into, so VO is 4 into sine 53 divided by G, let me take it 10. So this equals 2 into 4 divided by 10 and sine 53 is 4 by 5. 4 by 5. This is 1632 divided by 50. 32 divided by 50. This is what I got. This is 16 divided by 25. Something like 16 divided by 25 seconds. So much time. Seconds. Now I do the same kind of calculation for the second one, which is TB. So this is 2 into, this is 3 into sine 37 divided by 10. So this is equals 2 into 3 into sine 37 is 3 by 5. It is 3 by 5 and all divided by 10. This is no 9 and 18. 18 divided by 50. So this is equal to, so 18 divided by 50 is 9 divided by 25. So many seconds. So many seconds. Since TA is not equal to TB, so I may say they will hit the surface simultaneously is also wrong. So they never hit the surface simultaneously. So option C go wrong. So finally what I have to do is I have to take for the last option what we are having. For that I do like this, so what we got, this option came right and these two went wrong. So now D, option D. The relative velocity is constant and has magnitude 1.4. So in first part of our discussion, we got the vertical velocity is equals minus 7 or 7 divided by 5 meter per second. So this answer came 1.4 meter per second in our first part of the discussion for this option. So that means this answer is correctly said here. The relative velocity is constant and has magnitude 1.4. So this option is correct. So the final conclusion what we may have here is option A is correct, option D is correct. That means these two answers are correct in the given question. A particle projected from O and moving freely under gravity strikes the horizontal plane passing through O at a distance r from starting point O as shown in the figure. Then, so we are having four different options. So here is the picture. Now, the type of question is two or more correct. So if more than one choice is correct, so we have to analyze all the options one by one. So let me check whether option A is correct or not. So first of all, there will be two angles of projection if RG is less than U square. So this is the given condition. Here, the meaning of R is the range. And how actually we write range for any projection? So this is a V or U square. U is the projection velocity into sine 2 theta divided by G. This is how we write the range, the expression for range. Now the given condition is Rg is less than U square. So that means let me do something for this part. So that means Rg divided by U square is equals sine 2 theta. This is what I got. Now they are saying Rg is less than U square in the condition. So Rg is less than U square means Rg divided by U square is less than 1. That means Rg divided by U square is nothing but sine 2 theta. That is what we are looking here. So that means right here, so sine 2 theta is less than 1. We should know sine of any angle or sine function is a periodic. So that means this condition is satisfying. So there should exist two angles. So there should be two angles, maximum two angles, say theta 1 and theta 2, theta 1 and theta 2, such that their sum theta 1 and theta 2 must give 90 degree. So such angles are called complementary angles. Complementary angles. So from this conclusion, what I may say, now there will be two angles of projection. What he is saying in option A is correct. And in option B, see, just read it. The two possible angles of projection are complementary. This should happen in the given circumstance. So the angles are called complementary angles. So option B is also right. So I'll now look about option D. Put a glance on this option D. There will be more than two angles of projection if Rg is equals U square. So let me take this situation here. If Rg is equals to U square, then Rg divided by U square is equals 1. That means sine 2 theta is equals 1. This is true when this angle, this is the angle. So this angle is equals 90 degree. 2 theta is equals 90 degree. That means theta should be is equals 45 degree. This is the only possible angle. So that means there exist no two angles. There exists only one angle. So this option go wrong. So from this situation, so we may conclude A, B and D. So that is option A is right, B is right and D is wrong. Still one more option is left, that is C. The product of possible times of a flight from O to A is this. So we have to think now about the product of the time of flights. So that we do here. So what actually we got this option right and this option right and this option and wrong. Now we are thinking about this. So for any projectile motion, time of flight is written like this, 2 u sine theta, angle of projection is theta, divided by g. This is how we write. For the given circumstance, now we are having two angles, theta 1 and theta 2. And this is the situation what we got just before. So for theta 1, the calculation say T1 is equals 2u sine alpha. So this is the angle what we are seeing here. Alpha or theta, nothing happens. So you know this you can write it as theta also. So divide by, so it is g. Meantime, now what we can say is one more angle. So this is for theta 1, and for one more angle theta 2, it is 2u sine theta 2 divided by g. But what we should know is theta 1 plus theta 2 is equals 90 degree. That means theta 2 is equals 90 minus theta 1. So that means sine theta 2 is equals sine of 90 minus theta 2. 90 minus theta 2. So this is equals cos theta 2. Therefore, what I can write now, T1 is as it is, but T2 is equals 2u cos theta 2 divided by g. This is what I can write for T2. So now if I do the calculation as the product T1, T2, so in the products I am having 2u in both cases. That means it is a 4u square divided by g square, right, into sine theta 1 into this is cos theta, sorry, this is theta 1. So I made a mistake here. So you should read it theta 1. So 90 minus theta 1. So that is cos theta 1. So here also it is theta 1. So this becomes a sine theta 1 into cos theta 1. So this is equal to, how actually I write this product, this 4 can be written as 2 into 2. That means I write a 2 u square divided by g square into 2 sine theta 1 into cos theta 1. So this is equal to, this is equal to 2u square divided by g square into it is sine 2 theta 1. This is how I can write. So sine theta 1. So you must know this is the expression what we got here. This is a u square into sine 2 theta 1. See, 2 divided by g, let it be here, u square divided by g. I am splitting this denominator g square into g. So it is multiplied by sine of 2 theta 1. Now look for this part. This is range. This is range. So range is R. So that means this product finally comes 2 divided by g into R. So here he is saying in option C, the product of the possible times of flight from O to A is, so we got the product T1 T2 finally as 2R divided by G. This is what he is saying here also, 2R divided by G, which is said correctly. That means option C is also right. So this is all about this question, where the final conclusion is option A, option B and option C are correct. Here in the question, two balls are thrown from an inclined plane at an angle of projection alpha with the plane, one up the inclined plane and other down the incline as shown in the figure. If R1 and R2 be their respective ranges, then so we are having two different pictures. Say this is the left one and the right one. So the type of question is with options 2 or more correct. So we have to check one by one now. You must know whether it is a no, the projection upward or downward. In both the cases, time of flight is given by t is equals to u sine alpha divided by g cos theta. Be careful about the symbols or notations what I made used. Alpha is the angle of projection with respect to the plane and theta is the inclination of the plane with respect to the horizontal. So this holds for the two pictures, for both pictures. So if I say time t1 for the projection upward and t2 for the left picture which is projection downward, so these two times are equal. T1 is equals T2. Always T1 is equals T2 in the given situation. This we can prove. But one must remember in any such kind of circumstances where we get four choices, where we need to answer quickly. So one thing. And now I'll take you to the next thing. Now if I split the vertical component of the velocity with respect to the inclined plane, so this is u sine alpha, and here also it will be u sine alpha with respect to the plane. So that means both are having same time of flight and same vertical velocity, and you must know the acceleration due to gravity along the plane will be g sine theta, and perpendicular to the plane it will be g cos theta. So this is how we remember. So that means both planes, both the projectiles have the vertical component of acceleration due to gravity g cos theta same, g cos theta same. That means all necessary things are similar, otherwise I may call same. So for this situation, so we may conclude h1 is equals to h2, h1 is equals to h2, that means option A go right. So having said this, let me move to the next options. So that means B, C, D. So in B, C, D, we have to evaluate R2 minus R1. If we check R2 minus R1, we will get answer for all these options, the remaining options B, C and D. So for this, what I do is, you know, so we already know the time of flight, the expression for the time of flight here. So to make it easier, I do one thing. So let me clear the screen first to make less confusion. So I simply make a kind of calculation that is this much length expressed in terms of R1. So this will be R1 cos theta, and this portion of length, no, this portion of length, so this is R2 cos theta. So the horizontal component of velocity is along the horizontal, so that we need now. So for this projectile, the horizontal component of the velocity that I do here, this will be now u cos alpha plus theta, and for this, you know, So the horizontal component of velocity, what we get is u cos alpha minus theta. Okay, so this portion of the angle is alpha minus theta. So alpha minus theta, that can be evaluated. So that means the horizontal component of velocity for the right picture will be u cos alpha minus theta, and there will be no acceleration along horizontal. So for this reason I am feeling it is better to use these components of velocities for my further calculation. So for this situation, for left, no, for left picture, so what I do is the horizontal range is r1 cos theta, so that will be is equals velocity into time. So velocity is u cos alpha plus theta into time. Time is t, so we already got t is equals to u, sine alpha divided by g cos theta. So that means if I use those terms here, this is 2u sine alpha divided by g cos theta. That term I am going to use here. So meantime, so otherwise I may go further on solving this equation. R1 is equals, it is 2u square. Now so it is a sine alpha divide by g cos square theta into cos alpha plus theta. This is how I get the expression for R1. Similarly, for right picture, if I do the calculation, that will be R2 cos theta is equals, this is a u cos alpha minus theta into 2u sine alpha divided by g cos theta. So for this I get R2 is equals finally 2u square sine alpha, one more time sine alpha, and divided by g cos square theta, which is multiplied by cos alpha minus theta. This is what I get. So the expression for R1 is here and the expression for R2 is here. So in the remaining options, I need to calculate always R2 minus R1. In either of the remaining options, I need to calculate R2 minus R1. That I am going to do here. So if I do the calculation of R2 minus R1, that will be is equals, the terms which are common, I am going to keep them outside some bracket, sine alpha divide by, it is g cos square theta. So and inside bracket I should be very careful now. So when I am writing, so it is R2. So R2 is here, expression is here. I should write cos alpha minus theta. So I am going to write here, it is a cos of alpha minus theta and minus. So for R1 cos alpha plus theta. So cos alpha plus theta, that I write here. So these terms will remain inside bracket. So but what I can understand from this, cos alpha minus theta is, I may write cos alpha cos theta plus sin alpha sin theta and minus cos alpha cos theta minus of minus, which becomes plus sin alpha sin theta. That means the first term and the third term get cancelled, and the remaining terms are this one and this one. On making the proper sum, it is 2 sine alpha sine theta. So if I make use this particular solution here in the place of bracket, so I get, so R2 minus R1 is equals, it is 2 u square sine alpha divided by g cos square theta into 2 sine alpha sine theta, right? So this is what I can write. So now I want to implement the term t in the equation. So that I do like this, So I simply combine some of the terms like u, 2, the two terms of 2 are here, and sine alpha, sine alpha, and I split this, I will take this g for this one, and cos square theta for the same, but I'm having only one g. I simply make a kind of multiplication like this, I simply multiply and divide by g. So now what happened? It is R2 minus R1 is equals, 2 into 2 is 4, that is nothing but 2. So u sine alpha divided by, here is one g, another one is g is here. So it is g into cos theta. So let me take a common term inside brackets, so into square. So and the things which are left is this g and this sine theta. So g sine theta. No doubt the bracket term is nothing but 2u sine alpha divided by g cos theta, which is our t. So that means finally what I can write here, R2 minus R1 is equals, so inside bracket it is t, it should be made squared, into g sine theta. So but you must know t is nothing but t1 as well as t2. I can replace this t by t1 or t2. That means t1 square g sine theta, t1 square g sine theta, which is said here. So this option is correct. And next t2 g sine theta, so that is said here, t2 square g sine theta, which is correctly said in option C. This option is also right. So no doubt R2 minus R1, what we made the calculation, so this thing is wrong. So for this reason I can say option B is wrong, and we already made a conclusion about option A. This came right. So the final conclusion what I can write here for this question, the options which are correct are A, C and D. All these options came right.